Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivaradhari Jayo Girivaradhari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivaradhari Jayo Girivaradhari Jayo Yashodanandana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Yashodanandana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Yamuna Tiravalachari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Yamuna Tiravalachari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gananjashalakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupam Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupa Sahagrajatam Sahagna Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagna Lalita Shri Vishakam Svitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we will read from the chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized, and text number 27. 27, okay. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyarthe natam sochitam arhasi. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmadapariharyarthe natam sochitum arhasi. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyarthe Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur Mataji. Tasmadapariharyarthe natam sochitum arhasi. Jatasya, of one who has taken his birth. He, certainly. Dhruva, a fact. Mrityu, death. Dhruvam, it is also a fact. Janma, birth. Mritasya, of the dead. Cha, also. Tasmat, therefore. Apariharye, of that which is unavoidable. Arthe, in the matter. Na, to not. Tvam, you. Sochitam, to lament. Arhasi, deserve. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. Purport. One has to take birth according to one's activities of life, and after finishing one term of activities, one has to die to take birth for the next. In this way, one is going through one cycle of birth and death after another without liberation. This cycle of birth and death does not, however, support unnecessary murder, slaughter, and war. But at the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors in human society for keeping law and order. The battle of Kurukshetra, being the will of the Supreme, was an inevitable event. and to fight for the right cause is the duty of a Kshatriya. Why should he be afraid or aggrieved at the death of his relatives, since he was discharging his proper duty? He did not deserve to break the law, therefore becoming subjected to the reactions of sinful acts of which he was so afraid. By avoiding the discharge of his proper duty, he would not be able to stop the death of his relatives, and he would be degraded due to his selection of the wrong path of action. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vestaya Bhutale Srimate Pradhananda Swaminiti Namne. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swaminiti Namne. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharine. Okay. So if we see in these verses, actually I was reading the verse before also, and these two verses are connected to each other. In the previous verse, of course I'm supposed to speak about this verse 27, but these verses are connected. So the verse 26, I will just read this translation. It says that, if however you think that the soul or the symptom of life is always born and dies forever, you will still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. So these words here, or the symptom of life. So Krishna is actually putting forward the modern scientific view, where the scientists, they say that there is no soul, because this sentence, or the symptom of life, because they are not quite sure, because they say things like, oh, there is no soul, and everything just came out of some, mixing some material elements, just like chemical combination. For example, you mix acid and soda and alkaline, there will be some reaction. So the scientists are thinking like this. That's why there is a lot of slaughter also in this world, because they think that there is no soul in the animals. That's why the slaughter, people are eating also meat. So similarly, the Buddhist philosophy also thinks, they also do not believe in the existence of the soul. They think that the combination of matter makes a living symptom, and their ultimate goal is nirvana. I mean, I'm not, I never practiced Buddhism, so I'm not so much, I did not go into so much Buddhism, but I know a little bit about Buddhism, and I meet a lot of people on book distribution also, and they practice this. They are monks and they are Buddhist. So one of the monk I met, and he was a Buddhist, and he was also talking about this nirvana. So yeah, so the Buddhists, their ultimate goal is nirvana, and so basically they want to stop any kind of pains and pleasure, and this is materialistic way. So if we take any religious system, practically speaking, it ultimately aims at atyantika dukha nivriti. Dukh means pain, and nivriti means to stop. But why people go to church or even to temples? I mean, Lord Krishna says also that there are different kinds of people that approach him. And one of them who approaches Lord Krishna is one who is in distress. So even people go to churches and temples because they have some distress, and they go to mitigate that distress. They pray to God if they think there is some higher energy or somebody has God. So they think that, let me appeal to the Supreme Person so that my distress may be mitigated. So aim for any religious society or any religious group is to mitigate this pain. So atyantika dukha nivriti. So we are cultivating Krishna consciousness. We have a process. But our process is also the same, actually, in one sense, we see, which is that we are trying to also mitigate pain and pleasure. So in Bhagavad Gita in 13.9, Lord Krishna says about this, Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukha doshanudarshanam. So what is knowledge according to Lord Krishna? So Lord Krishna actually mentions in this 13.9, this verse, he says, humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master. And we know this verse, Tadvidi Parnipattena Pariprashnena Sevaya Updekshantite Gnanam Gnaninas Tattva Darshina. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness, aim at pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these declare to be knowledge, and beside this, whatever there may be is ignorance. So these are all the qualities, let's say, which according to Lord Krishna means real knowledge. Otherwise, other than that, it's simply ignorance. So of course, there are always, we always keep in view that material exists and there are 4 kinds of miserable conditions. So these 4 kinds is birth, death, old age, and disease. So, and also Lord Krishna has described in Bhagavad Gita about this world as dukhalyam ashashvatam, a place of miseries, and also in every step there is a danger. So ultimately everyone's aim is how they can actually mitigate their pain. So if we come back to this verse now, so because the previous verse was mostly about the atheist, because atheist, who is atheist? Somebody who does not believe in God and who does not believe in soul either. So God and soul, these two things, they go together. See, if somebody can understand what is soul, they can also understand what is God, and vice versa. But atheists are, neither they believe in God, nor they believe in soul. I mean, myself, like when I'm on book distribution, I meet so many people, and I don't really tell them that this is book for God, because if I were to say this, they would not take it. The majority of them, because many of the people are atheists these days. They don't believe in soul, they don't believe in God. But of course, I also meet many pious people. One time I remember this person, she's like, I'm an atheist, and I will not take this book if it is about God. But somehow I was like, no, this is about meditation, about karma, and I was just doing like this little bit. But then she opened Bhagavad Gita, and when she opened, it was literally Lord Krishna. It's like, all right, Krishna, okay, you don't want. And then she's like, I am an atheist, and I told you, I don't believe in God. And she said, I don't believe in reincarnation, and I don't believe in soul. So this is my practical experience. Like how Prabhupada is also mentioning that the atheists they don't believe in God and soul. So this is my personal practical experience on Sankirtan, that how actually atheist people, they just have nothing to do with God and soul whatsoever. Yeah. So also like Darwin's theory, evolution of material body. So one body is created, and the same body again annihilated. So basically, if this body is already dead, the only reason that it has consciousness is because of the soul in it. Otherwise, if there is no soul, if the soul goes away from this body is already dead. It will just fall down immediately within seconds. So, but the real knowledge is, like Lord Krishna mentioned already, different degrees of, and the qualities, according to him, what is knowledge. One of them is self-realization. Well, what is self-realization? To understand who we really are. We are not this body. This is the first instruction of Lord Krishna, that you are not this body, but a spirit soul. Lord Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Dehino yasmin yatha dehe kovaram yovanam jara tatha dehantra praptir dhiras tatra namuyate. Just as the embodied soul passes from boyhood to youth and to old age, similarly the soul passes into another body at the time of death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So, yeah, this kind of, if I were to say this kind of verse in front of the atheists, perhaps they would punch my face or something. So people don't want to accept God. And so many people, they argue about this discharging of duty. I mean, I have interacted with many people, and they say, when they talk to me about Krishna consciousness, and then they say to me things like, yeah, okay, we will see bhakti, but I'm a nice person, I'm doing my duties very nicely, and I don't want to harm anyone, and things like this. So that's called karmavad. And they usually also think that if I do things nicely, if I'm nice to everyone, if I'm not doing any, let's say, not harming any living entity or anything like this, the result will also be good. They think like this, and they think that God will give them nice opportunities. So they are thinking like this. But there is, I'm put, 1 second, just like, So they think that why should I worship God? But even if somebody is doing nice things, but still he's still entangled in the cycle of birth and death, it doesn't take him out still. And even if person is being very nice or doing his so-called duties, but if he does not worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he's actually disobeying the orders of the Lord. It's like making your own laws. So it's just like example is given that if somebody goes to, let's say, another country, and there are certain laws, rules and regulations of every country, anywhere we go. And if somebody just sits in his room and says that I will make my own laws and I will do like this, and does not obey the government, then what will eventually happen? That he will be punished because he's going to break the laws. So if you really want to know what are the laws, then we need to actually approach the authority, and the authority is Krishna. So if we go against the laws of Lord Krishna, then actually we are like criminals and we will be punished for that. Yeah. So also I will talk about this. So just like there is, Prabhupada gives one example of thieves. They went to different houses and they stole some things from the house, like different properties from the house. And then the whole group of the thieves. And the chief thief says, now we should distribute the property equally and in a moral way. But how is it moral? From where is it moral? Because the first thing to begin with is it's stolen, so it's not moral. So similarly, people talk about being, moralist, but they are not actually moralist because they are actually not denying the authority of Lord Krishna. And another thing is that when people are being so-called moralists, they are actually obliged, or let's say, obliged to many different demigods, to Mother Earth, to forefathers, to Mother Cow, because just like we pay the electricity bill, just like we are using electricity and we get the water, we have to pay some tax or some bills to the government. So similarly, we get like sunlight, we get water, we get rain from Indradev, so we are also obliged to the demigods to be able to repay them. But there are so many people around us, even our family members and forefathers and parents and so many people, so we cannot actually individually, pay back to every one of them. But if we actually please Lord Krishna, then we are not obliged to anyone then. Because Lord Krishna is actually the root of everything. He's the source of everything and he's the root of everything. So it's a classic example that we all have heard about it, just like if there is a tree and if we water the roots of the tree, then automatically the leaves and the flowers and everything is watered. We don't have to individually go and water the leaves and the twigs and the flowers, right? So similarly, if we water Lord Krishna, actually in Lord Krishna's body resides all the demigods. So if we just worship Lord Krishna, we are not indebted is the word actually. So we are not indebted to anyone then, because he's the root cause. Actually, there's also one example, just like when when Pandavas, they were in exile, and there was a boon given to Draupadi that if she eats the morsel of rice, then after she eats, there will be no more food. So before she can, so she was feeding all her husbands before her. So then Durvasa Muni comes to their place, and we all know when Durvasa Muni comes, he's not just coming alone. He brings his 10,000s of disciples, So he comes along with his disciples to their place, and then, of course, the guest has come, so the culture is to receive the guests properly and to serve them, right? So now Draupadi was very in distress, because she already ate, now there is no more food left in her place. And then Durvasa Muni goes for the bath along with his disciples. Meanwhile, he goes, Lord Krishna comes to their place, to the Pandavas. And Lord Krishna just takes one morsel of the grain or rice, and he eats. As soon as he eats, Durvasa Muni along with his disciples, while they were in the taking bath in Ganga, they all feel full like here. So this is like a classic example that when Lord Krishna is he's filled, when he's fulfilled, everything is also fulfilled. We don't have to do things individually. Yeah. So Prabhupada says actually what really morality means, the standard morality means to abide by the orders of the greatest authority. And who is the greatest authority? The greatest authority is Lord Krishna, which is also confirmed in Ishopanishad. So the invocation of Ishopanishad here, it says, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishyate Iva Vishishyate. So the translation is like this. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. And because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. So it's not that, just because Krishna is complete in every aspect. So not just because everything emanates from Lord Krishna, that doesn't mean that he becomes empty, just because everything came out of him. It says that even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Also, the mantra third in Ishopanishad is there is one more mantra actually. Anyhow, I forgot to write that mantra and I don't remember it by heart. So in this verse we can see that Arjuna is very much lamenting over his relatives, and but this whole battlefield of Kurukshetra was anyway arranged, because it says here, the battle of Kurukshetra being the will of the Supreme was an inevitable event. And to fight for the right cause is the duty of a Kshatriya. Why should be afraid or aggrieved at the death of his relatives, since he was discharging his proper duty? So Arjun, two things here. First thing is that Arjun didn't want to fight this battlefield because he was thinking that there are his relatives, his friends. Okay, in a sense they were, because if we see from the bodily concept of life. But he is a Kshatriya, and I read that Prabhupada says that if somebody is a Kshatriya and somebody approaches the Kshatriya and somebody wants to fight with the Kshatriya, then Kshatriya must fight back with that person or with that whole party, let's say. Should not run away. But Arjun didn't want to, because that's his duty, and Arjun didn't want to do this. But he didn't want to do this because of the bodily relations with his teachers, with his relatives, with his cousins or friends. But the thing is that this battlefield was already arranged by Lord Krishna. It doesn't matter if Arjun fights or not, because even if he does not fight, the Kauravas are going to be killed anyway. Because Duryodhan and Karan, they were very, for example, Duryodhan and Shakuni, they were all very, let's say, impious, or let's say, very crooked. I mean, they tried to strip Draupadi naked, and Draupadi was the queen. She was the wife of Pandavas, and the eldest brother, Yudhishthira Maharaj, was the king of Hastinapur, of that whole palace, and they tried to strip her naked. So this is such an evil act to do. So this is one reason that Krishna didn't want that any impious person to rule the world, And because the Pandavas were such great devotees of the Lord, and of course, Lord Krishna wanted his devotees to rule the world, because they know the principles of dharma. They're not following the path of adharma. They know the principles of dharma. That's why Lord Krishna wanted peace and harmony in the world. That's why he wanted them to rule the kingdom. And so yeah, even if Arjun would not fight, they were anyway going to die. But because Arjuna fought and he followed the instructions of Lord Krishna, because he actually accepted of course Lord Krishna was his so dear friend, but he also accepted Lord Krishna as the spiritual master then. And that's why Lord Krishna said that even if you don't fight, they're still going to die. So, but what you can do is you can become an instrument, nimitra madhyam bhavya savya sachi. We should just become an instrument in my hands and then fight. And because Arjuna followed this instruction and he just became an instrument in the hands of the Lord, he actually won the battlefield, of course, because of the arrangement of the Lord and the mercy of the Lord. And also he was glorified everywhere of being such a great Kshatriya. Actually, I was thinking about this today that, of course, Arjuna was such a great warrior. He was such a great Kshatriya. But if we read towards the end, when Lord Krishna disappeared from this world, when his Leela was finished, when he went, when we see that when Arjuna was also, I think he was taking his wife somewhere, and then suddenly some, let's say, dacoits, they attacked him, and he couldn't. What do you call this? The bow, right? The string. He couldn't do that, and then he was very disturbed on this, because he was thinking that I'm such a great Kshatriya, and how is it possible that I cannot do this? But then he realized that everything that he had was actually because of the mercy of Lord Krishna. Yeah. So I think I will end. We are almost finished. Question time. Yeah, of course. Heavy question time, let's say that.
You mentioned that people do good things and are nice persons, and they expect that because they do that, even though they are not worshipping God, they expect that in return they will get nice things. And in fact, according to the law of karma, they will get the nice things, so this is true. And then you also said that by not worshipping God, we are actually disobeying His laws. And I want to ask, isn't karma, the law of karma, one of the laws He gave?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that there is also people, if people do this karma kanda thing, if I do something good, then I will get good. If I do something bad, I will get bad. And that's true, because that's how Krishna made the laws, But even, for example, if we see millionaires these days, I mean, there is this very rich family in the world, some Ambanis in India. They're so rich. And so I was thinking that people who are born in this family, they are actually all souls who have done a lot of pious activities in their previous life. That's why they are again getting the birth to get born in a pious and in a very rich family. So of course, so there we can see the result of karma is there, because they have done so much good pious activities in their previous life to be able to deserve to be born in a family of a rich person. But then, or let's say, there is another example I always also give, that let's say there is a hospital and two mothers are giving birth, and one mother is super rich and then another one is super poor. So both the children are born at the same time. It's just an example. But then one child is born from a very rich mother, another child is born from a very poor mother. Why? It is because of the karmas, that one deserves to be born in a very rich family and one deserves to be born in a very poor family. But there is also a danger in all these things. Anybody who is born even in rich family has a danger, that because they are so intoxicated with their material wealth and fame and power that they forget the ultimate goal of life. I mean, not many people in this world who are very, very super rich are actually wanting to know the ultimate purpose of life, because Maya is so strong And so they forget the real meaning of life. But this is also problematic because this is like a cycle. So if we do good or bad or whatever, it's like a cycle. We keep getting entangled in these things. So that's why Krishna says, Sarva dharman paritajya mam ekam sharanam vraj aham toham sarva papebhyo mokshashyami ma sucha. Just surrender unto me, give up all the varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. That's why he's saying just give up and just surrender unto me and take the path of Krishna consciousness. When we take the path of Krishna consciousness, we are sincerely, I mean to say, because even in our Krishna consciousness, we are devotees of different kinds of, let's say, aspiring devotees, of different kinds of degrees. Ne? Some are, because Lord Krishna says that different kinds of people approach him. So somebody who is very inquisitive, somebody who is in need of money, somebody who is in much distress. So different degrees of people are approaching him. Ne? So, so somebody who takes this path sincerely can actually cross the ocean of birth and death. Because Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma cha vidivyam evam yo veti tatvataha tvakta deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. So anybody who understands the appearance, my appearance and disappearance, upon leaving this body, do not take birth again in this world. So we have to practice Krishna consciousness sincerely. That's only how we can actually get out of this entanglement of karma. Because even if we are in Krishna consciousness, if we do not take seriously, do not practice sincerely, and how we practice sincerely, by actually following the principles and by actually applying the shastras in our life, then only actually we can follow. I mean, and what is the meaning of Krishna consciousness? It means to be conscious of Krishna. So how we can become conscious of Krishna? By actually following the principles sincerely, and of course, Sadvidi Pranipatena, the verse which says to just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. A self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. And by serving a sincere servant and a pure devotee of the Lord who is in parampara. That's how only we can actually get out of the entanglement of karma. Otherwise, we can do pious activities. I mean, even if somebody is doing pious activities, he may be elevated to higher planetary systems, but then he can enjoy the best of material life there, things like that. But once his credit is finished, he still has to come back on earth. So, but our process is that we need to get out of this cycle of these four problems, which is birth, death, old age, and disease. And only actually by following proper Krishna consciousness, one can actually get out of that.
So, in my view, it seems to me that these persons who they don't worship God and they just do karmic activities and they get the results, they don't have this goal of getting out of this entanglement. Because obviously if they don't believe in God enough to worship Him, they would not make it their priority to get out of here. So how do you convince such a person that, they say, okay, I do good things, I get good things, all good, forever, no problem. So how do you convince such a person?
I mean, there are two kinds of people. One is somebody who is full, like who doesn't have enough knowledge, but who is willing to, they're inquisitive, and they're willing to actually understand, and if you give them knowledge, they're willing to, just understand it, and perhaps if they understand, they may apply or like this. But one is that who are so convinced that they know everything, and you cannot preach them. Because I meet so many people on Sankirtan, they are like, I am happy. Sometimes I say to them, like, I have these tricks. I was like, hey, you look so happy. What makes you happy? My dog. I was like, yeah. and another one is like, my cat. I'm like, yeah, sure. Mine. I mean, like, what can you say to these people, And so different classes of men. So it depends to whom you are preaching. If somebody is... somebody is humble and is willing to actually accept and actually believes that there is something higher, there is something away from this material world, not only this world exists, and to actually, that they're actually able to, recognize that they are in this pool of birth and death and this cycle, that's the people that you can actually, like you say, convince them or present Bhagavad Gita as it is. But there is another class of people, they think that they just know, and like you cannot, they're untouchable. You cannot convince them for whatsoever. So it depends whom you are approaching. But because most of the people in this world, they think they're so intelligent that you cannot, they cannot be corrected. They're not even aware actually that they're in this pool. They just think this is how life is, that I will just get old. I mean, just on internet they say that, they say to their partners, I'm waiting to get old with my husband. They say like this, love forever. We will love each other forever. We will be like an old couple. We are waiting to get old together. They don't even know that life exists after this. That's the first thing to begin with. People think that this is the only life, we live once and that's it. Because if somebody thinks that if somebody believes in reincarnation, they will actually inquire, the intelligent person will inquire that where am I going after this life? Because what we are doing in this life, we are preparing ourselves for the next life, for the next body. So just like there is this, maybe you know about this, in Japan, there is this, Prahladananda Swami Maharaj also gives this example, that there is this man who likes to be a dog. And he actually got himself a costume worth $12,000 US to get a dog costume. And then he puts on this costume and he goes to the park and then he plays with other dogs. And I actually watched that video. So, what can you say to such people? So, yeah. What's that? Yeah, I mean, people don't even believe in reincarnation these days. They just think this is it. And I was thinking that, wow, how stupid is that? Why you have to waste so much money? Your consciousness is like a dog. Krishna will give you a body of a dog, free of cost. Why he had to spend $12,000? So, yeah. Does that answer? Okay. Anybody has? Okay. Anybody has any other question? Okay, we are good. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai.